Well, 4 or 5 years ago, thank goodness, people woke up and realized that we are an icon. We are a significant heritage site. Kingston, of course, is extremely fortunate to have this place in their backyard. Mm-hmm. There's many communities would kill to have a similar attraction. Mm-hmm. But be that as it may, the place was coming apart. And
literally.
We had, like I say, we'd gone through that black period where we had a lot of our rooms closed. We had areas of the fort that were a public safety issue. They were scaffolded, they were braced. We had water leaking in just about every room, which was doing its own damage in terms of interiors. And anyway, at some point, the federal and provincial government came together, and we were very delighted about that, and invested an initial $15 million in the restoration. And people who come to the fort today will see the red roofs are no longer here. And Kingston should be aware that those red roofs that most of them grew up with, that red paint was on there really to keep the roof intact. It wasn't really doing anything, it wasn't authentic. Really? The roofs that are here now are authentic. But we've done major work on the ditch towers, the Martello towers at the end of our ditches. We're working on the west ditch now. The east ditch was done over the winter. We've done major work on the ramparts in the lower fort to stop the water leaking in, and so on. I mean, it's an absolute delight to sort of see this renewed interest, particularly for me, having been here for a long time.
Mm-hmm. So is most of the restoration complete or still a work in progress?
No. It's the original estimates on the full restoration was around $35 to $40 million. So we have $50 million in now, and the province of Ontario, the Ministry of Tourism, and the St. Lawrence Parks Commission, of which we are part of, is in negotiations with the federal government now about the long-term capital plan. And although I can't get into the sort of specific numbers, we're really optimistic that the federal government's going to be there to continue the restoration. So that's great news.
Wonderful. And another feather in our cap when it comes to this UNESCO designation. If the fort and the Rideau are granted this honor, it will be is this correct? It'll be the first one in Ontario and the largest one.
Exactly.
Over 200 kilometers. That's from Ottawa to Kingston. That's significant.
It is significant. We've been fortunate to see some aerial views of the whole thing, and I mean, it's just awe-inspiring to see the level of work that went into it. I mean, I guess those of us at the fort can appreciate the kind of labor that goes into it because, we're in a stone fort, and the same sort of workmanship went into the canal. Mm-hmm. And we know what a chore it is trying to keep it up. And it's unbelievable, that work, that so much of it's still functional as it was in the 1830s.
And Brian, perhaps you can speak to this. If something like this happens and we are considered a UNESCO heritage site, you will only start to see those tourism numbers grow. I mean, other UNESCO sites such as the Great Wall of China, Versailles, those are major tourist attractions. People plan their vacations around visiting those sites. Is that what you're hoping will happen with Fort Henry?
Absolutely, Julie. In fact, it'd be like finding a key to a brand new door with this designation, unlocking it, and there are hundreds of thousands of visitors behind it. It's just that significant. There was a canal in France that was designated over 10 years ago, the Canal Midi, and it really doesn't compare even architecturally with the Rideau Canal. The second year, the year after their designation, they realized a 42% increase in visitors. So that's year one. I mean, this is a market where there are people out there that look specifically for World Heritage Sites. They plan their vacation around World Heritage Sites. So we're anticipating nothing but positive spin from this.
Wonderful. Now, for the Kingstonians that drive past the fort on a regular basis or sail past it, give a brief overview. Why is the fort so significant? Why was it erected in the first place? We touched on that briefly, but a little more in depth.
Well, it was erected to protect the naval dockyard and the port of Kingston, basically back in the 1812s when there was threat of American invasion by water, and that's why this whole connection with the Rideau Canal is so significant. It's very funny because the fort was originally built to protect us from the Americans, and now we find ourselves spending thousands of dollars trying to attract them to get them to come here with no active climate of war occurred while the fort was here. We kind of wish we had that happen because I would have added a little more to the lore. But it is significant then, and it's certainly significant now as a beacon for tourism, not just Kingston, but Eastern Ontario.
So when you come to the fort, what will you